Are you struggling to build your pantry with today's skyrocketing food prices? Today our guest is Lisa Sutton from Sutton's Days, and she is an expert at helping us build a prepared pantry on a budget. Stay tuned. Hey, Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene, and today we are thrilled because we have a very special guest with us. This is Lisa Sutton from Sutton's Days, and if you haven't checked out her YouTube channel, you need to, because she is incredible when it comes to all things home preservation. In fact, I was just telling her that I just spent some time watching a video that she did on bottling rhubarb. And I went out to my garden, harvested my rhubarb. So thank you, Lisa. You're doing great things. Now, we met over the Women Who Prep conference.
Right.
And I just knew when I was there listening to her and watching her, and like, we could be such good friends. We are super glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Lisa. I am all about pantry preparedness because I truly believe that it is the best insurance that money can buy. I have been there. I have lived the life where a hot and ready pizza was your meal for 4 days because you had $10 left and a whole week to get through. I know what it's like to be food insecure. And so helping people become more food secure is very important to me, making sure that we all have what we need in case of an emergency. And it's rarely the end of the world as we know it, right? It is the everyday emergencies. It is medical. It is financial. It is job loss. I mean, there are so many things that just come out of nowhere. Look at our friends in Houston that just got hit with that big storm, right? And so for those that weren't prepared, they don't know what to do. But for the people that have actually come in, listened, taken action, they had more of what they needed. Now, were they super comfortable? Maybe not, but they had what they needed in order to get through that trial. And that's what pantry preparedness is about. We need to learn to be more self-reliant on ourselves because literally nobody's coming to rescue you.
And that's such a good point, because Jonathan and I, we have built up a food storage over many, many years, and we rotate through it all, right? It is a lifestyle for us. And so whenever anything happens, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Right.
And
Right.
you look at our forebears, this prepper lifestyle that's kind of become new and in vogue now is what our forebears lived every day. That's how they knew they had to do it. And they had the skills because they built them over time. And we've kind of altered ourselves away from that to a place where, well, somebody else should be taking care of us. And that's just not a reality. It can't happen, and it shouldn't happen.
No, it should not happen. They have been directing us very nicely for a few generations now, away from real food and away from being self-reliant to any extent. So, when they came out with frozen dinners and stuff, it was a matter of, look, we're going to save you time so that you have to go out and work to get a job to keep affording it. So it was a trade-off that I don't think most people knew about. And this is my mother's generation. So we've got a fourth generation coming up who honestly don't know where their food comes from and don't know how to cook.
And so that brings us to the topic of today's discussion, which I'm super excited about. It's how to build a prepared pantry when prices are skyrocketing all around you. And I don't know about the rest of you out there, but when I go to the store lately, I get anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's not so much that I can't feed myself right now, but these prices, if I still had my children at home, there's no way I could do it. But as we take a step back and look at things a little bit differently, I really think that we can be okay. So Lisa, teach us. I can't wait to hear all of your tips.
I have a few tips and tricks, but first and foremost, I want you to know that you don't need to accomplish this immediately. This will take you time if you're just starting out. Nobody did this overnight. They didn't do it overnight. I didn't do it overnight. It takes a couple of years sometimes, but it can be done even with the prices that we've got today. It can be done one little bit at a time, and every little bit that you do helps you secure tomorrow just a little bit better.
Yeah, we call those small, steady steps.
Yes.
And we have to, for most of us, that's all we can do. We do small, steady steps, and then we look back and we go, wow,
How did I
We
do all
made
this?
huge progress when
Really?
we thought we were just taking little tiny steps, and we are, and it's happening.
Right, right. And anybody can do it, regardless of your income level, regardless of anything else. Anybody can take these steps to become better prepared to secure their food tomorrow because it's genuinely concerned nowadays. So the first one is to prioritize your essentials. Everybody is going to prepare differently and stock differently. What I eat, you may not eat, and vice versa. So you need to focus on your essentials. If you eat rice, if you eat pasta, if you eat beans, then those are the things that you want to make sure that you can put up. They cost very little. Those are three things that cost you very little, but can provide you so many meals over time. And all it takes is a little bit of spice and a little bit of creativity, and you've got epic meals that fill your belly and fill your family's belly. So take some practical steps, with planning out what it is you eat currently today and how you can best stock it up. There are about 24 forever foods that I've mentioned in previous videos that literally they're not going to go bad if you put them up in your pantry. There's no way for them to go bad if you store them properly. So take the time to learn what those are, find out which ones you eat. If you don't eat beans, don't buy beans. But if you do, buy those beans because, yes, they're excellent. Next one's to create a budget. If you haven't done a budget, and a lot of people don't, a lot of people kind of fly by the seat of their pants. I've got 20 bucks, I'm going to the grocery store. What can I get for 20 bucks? Plan a budget because if you know where your money's going, you know how you can best utilize it. And if you plan a budget when you go to the grocery store, if you've got $40 for the week, you can actually create quite a lot of meals off of $40. But if you can do it with $30 and use that $10 to stock up on a little bit extra to put up in your pantry, then it's even better. So creating that budget and learning to stick with it, it's going to take some time where you go, I'm not going to get the stuff that I want because I don't need it. And that's important with today's prices is to know that you have to pick between want and need. And you may not need those frozen pizza rolls, but you do need that good, healthy, real food that you can eat that will last longer on your shelves. Sales and coupons, right? I'm not a big coupon person because I live in the middle of the forest, so nobody really takes them around here. And because they don't typically give you coupons for real food. But if you can use coupons and they are for something that you do utilize, then definitely take advantage of them. And shopping the sales is huge. Every single month, there are different things that are on sale. I highlight this every month. There are different things to focus on. This month was perfect, May, because you could focus on things that went on sale for Cinco de Mayo, right? All of your Mexican Latino food went on sale because it celebrated Cinco de Mayo. And so did margarita mix, by the way. Also, the end of the month, boom, all in one month, we've got Memorial Day. And, that's kickoff for summer in a lot of places. And so a lot of the stuff that you would use over the summer, like your condiments or your hot dog buns or your hot dogs and your hamburgers and your bratwurst, that kind of thing, all go on sale because they're pushing it for the holiday barbecue weekend. So you want to see what goes on sale, focus on that, make a note of it, okay? Because these things are cyclical and they happen every single year. So if you can't do it this year, maybe you can do it next year, but you know what to look for and when things come up on sale. When it's appropriate, buy in bulk. This is going to take some math skills. And so your phone or your calculator is going to come in handy because just because you can get it in 50-pound packages doesn't mean it's actually a better deal. So you need to be able to break down that cost per pound or per cup or per unit, okay, so that you are getting the best deal. Sometimes bigger isn't always better, but a lot of times you can get a better deal, and sometimes it's just more convenient. My time is worth a fair amount of money in my mind, so convenience to me on that aspect may play into the game. One of my vendors at the farmer's market will sell me cases of mushrooms. I'm not necessarily getting a better deal on it, but I'm getting a 10-pound case of mushrooms as opposed to 10 little 8-ounce packages. And so for me, it saves time, and that to me saves money. So you have to factor in all those things when you're looking at buying in bulk. Don't be afraid of store brands. Most of the time, they're made by the same company of the name brands. So you want to try them out. You want to give them a go, see if there's something that you enjoy. If those green beans in the black and white can taste just like those green beans with the giant on it, then you're golden and you've saved money because that's really important today. You want to make sure, above all, you're getting a good quality product and you're saving money. I can't stand the fact that I have to push in my phone number to get the best deal at the grocery store of my choice. That irks me. Okay. Just give me the deal. Why do I have to work so hard for it? But okay, use them. It makes sense to use them sometimes. Sometimes, if it means the difference between paying $5 or 250, push in your phone number. Trust me, they know where you are anyway. So just push in your phone number. It's not a big deal. I get a lot of people that say, I worked so hard. I worked so hard and spent so much time and money building up my pantry. I don't want to use any of it. That's not the way this works because, like Kylene said, it's a lifestyle. Okay. This is not a set it and forget it process. This is a lifestyle. Whatever you buy today is going to be cheaper than what you buy tomorrow, which is going to be cheaper than what you buy the day after. So you want to rotate through your stock. It is super important to make sure that you're rotating through it because nothing lasts forever, even though most of it lasts longer than what they tell you it will. When you're looking at preparing this stuff, batch freezing and batch cooking can be very helpful, especially if you've got a big family. But even if it's just the two of us, I mean, it's Phil and I, so he's pretty much just stuck with whatever I cook, right? But there are times when I'm like, I am not cooking breakfast every day for this man that I love beyond words. So I will make up a whole big batch of breakfast burritos or freezer French toast or freezer pancakes or what. I'll make up a whole big batch so that I only have to do it once a month. And that's one less thing that you have to think about. It's out of your way. You're good and you're taken care of. So look at different ways to do batch cooking and batch freezing because it'll save you a lot of time and a lot of money. I think that sometimes when it comes to gardening, it's kind of like owning chickens. In theory, it's a great idea. Is it cheaper? Not necessarily. Okay. But you have control over what you've got and it's right there. So you're not spending the gas or the time. And there is no tomato in the world that's going to taste better than one that you grew, whether it's in a pot on your balcony or in the yard. Nothing's going to taste better or give you more joy. I took pictures of my asparagus when it sprouted this year, you guys. Okay, I'm like, look at this. I did this. Hello. So it gives you a great sense of pride and it's a skill. So you're going to fail. Count on it. You're going to fail, but you will also succeed a whole bunch. And it can save you money in the long run once you start building up that skill. So it's kind of like owning chickens. It's not cheaper to own chickens than it is to go buy eggs, but you're getting a better quality and free entertainment half the time. Discount stores. If you're in an area that has discount stores, take advantage of them. Watch the dates, know what does expire quickly and what doesn't. Okay. Find ways to preserve the stuff that might be expiring soon. And you can actually save quite a bit of money at discount stores. If it's available in your area, check into food co-ops or CSAs. They are fantastic things. I'm not going to necessarily explain how they work, but they're wonderful to have an option. And sometimes you can save money on them. So that's a really good thing. Leftovers to me are an opportunity to create chaos and mayhem in my kitchen because I don't know how to cook for two people. I come from a restaurant background. I know how to cook for 40 people, not two. And I know how to cook for 10 people, but my family has grown up and moved here and moved there. And, so now it's like cooking for two. And I'm like, well, guess what we're having for lunch tomorrow, honey? So learn how to repurpose those leftovers, whether the fact that you're planning them, it's a dish that you make and it's a dish that you enjoy, but you can only eat so much at a sitting and should, then you're just going to budget that as lunch for the next day or second dinner 2 days later. Find a way to reuse them because food waste is an astronomical crime in this country. 40% of the food that we have ends up in the landfills because people forget about it or they waste it or it gets thrown out at the grocery store. Learning to dehydrate your food is another great way. If I did not know that they put food on clearance in the grocery stores because that doesn't happen where I'm at. But my good friend in Texas, clearance shops a lot of produce and she'll take it home and she'll put it in the dehydrator. And so she's saved money and she's got it preserved to use for whatever she wants. Having a dehydrator is a great way to make those dollars stretch. If you're lacking in nutrients or you have people that don't necessarily like nutrients in their food, okay, it's a great way to disguise it. I mean, there's nothing like spinach ground up in brownies and nobody knows the difference, right? So find a way to disguise it and get it in there on the cheap without arm wrestling your family to make them consume it. Learning to preserve food. Like I said, dehydrating, freeze drying, canning. I love canning food. If I could do anything every single day of my life, I would can food, but I'd run out of room pretty quick. So learning these skills is super important. Use the tools that are meant to be used for it. There are no shortcuts without trying to hurt your family. Okay. If you don't want to play Russian roulette with your family and their health, learn to do it the right way because otherwise it's just dangerous and you're wasting time and money. Old school method that I really, really love because for years I've relied on my brain. My brain will tell you all kinds of useless information. I have it stored everywhere, okay? But I used to be able to go, oh, yeah, okay. I remember I picked up that at a garage sale 6 years ago at this house over here, and I paid 25 cents for it, Or, hey, the last time I bought tomato sauce, it was a quarter a can because I got it on sale. I don't remember that stuff anymore. I don't. My brain's too fogged up. So, old school method, develop a price book. It's a simple book. It's nothing elaborate, a steno pad, anything that you want and write down what it costs. So if you go grocery shopping and you buy canned tomatoes every year, okay, pay attention to how much you're paying for them, how big or small the can is that they are in, and then write that down in your price book along with the date. And then the next time you see them, if they're on sale, you can go, was that actually a good price? And you can look back in your price book because sometimes it's not as good of a price as you thought it was, right? They're very tricky with this, and it will help you track shrinkflation a lot better, a lot easier, because that is something that is happening a lot everywhere. Is it looks like the same thing. Gee, that looks a little bit smaller. It must be my mind. Okay, no, it's not your mind. It really is smaller, and they really are charging you more for it. And the only way to know this is to track it in a price book. Okay, so that's an old school. That's been around for decades, a price book. Okay, the next one is to buy seasonal produce. I think over the last few decades, we've gotten very used to getting what we want when we want it, regardless of when it's actually able to be available in our areas. Shipping things across the world in order to have them. And so, pardon me, purchasing fruits and vegetables that are in season. And my example for this is asparagus. I love asparagus, but I only eat it about 3 or 4 times a year because that's when it's in season. And I will have it until I can't have it anymore. And then I'm done. And it's good. I love it. There are ways to preserve it. I just don't necessarily care for canned asparagus or pickled asparagus. But if you do, then you can preserve them and have them all year long when they come in season in your area. Learning to eat seasonally and to buy seasonally. It's like those way back, like Little Women, they would get an orange for Christmas because that was amazing, right? Especially up here in the north. An orange in December is fantastic. It's a great treat, but it shouldn't be a regular way of life. And I think it highly contributes to the food waste that happens. Some may agree with this and some may not, but reducing your meat consumption can also save you money. And this is again where beans can come into play. You can learn to cut your meat with beans, cut your ground beef with lentils if you want to make tacos or meatloaf or anything like that. I guarantee you nobody in your household is going to know if you don't tell them. Ignorance is bliss a lot of times. So being able to reduce that meat consumption can reduce your grocery bill because if you've been to the grocery store lately and you've tried to purchase meat, it is just astronomically expensive. And I'm not anticipating it getting any better anytime soon with everything that's going on in the world. The last one is, I think, one of the most important ones, and that's to network and to share. Now, for safety purposes, I do not believe in posting pictures of your pantry on social media. Okay. But if you talk to your people, talk to the people that know you, join local groups, network and share, then you can find out it's something as simple as my neighbor has a 5,000 rhubarb seeds and I want to learn how to grow rhubarb from seed. I can get seeds from her. I don't have to go out to try to find them. Networking, bartering with the people in your community where no cash is involved, but skills and knowledge and what you can produce are involved. And I think that will help reduce your grocery bills a whole bunch in this crazy economy. When egg prices went ballistic, I proudly put the sign at the end of my driveway that said eggs $3 a dozen. And they're like, what's wrong with them?
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing's wrong with them. They're great eggs. They're awesome chickens. You want to come watch them with me? Because it wasn't about making money. My feed really didn't go up that much. Having the ability to help my neighbors, to help the people in my community by selling them extra eggs that I had was a great way to do it. So you can do that too, and you can get out and you can make the world a better place and lower your grocery bill.
And I think as we do that, it encourages others to do that. We
Very
need to
much.
get back to that. We're always teaching about community and the importance of having your community and building getting to know your neighbors and your friends and even your enemies. We work so much better together than we do when we're just isolating ourselves.
You can get a lot more accomplished with a team.
And sharing that knowledge and that wisdom. Right now it's springtime, and so in the garden, the way that I do it, the permaculture approach, we have lots of extra starts.
Yes,
And yet, what a blessing for somebody else to come visit and take $100 worth of starts home. And yet, that improves the diversity for us. And if something for us fails, hey, I remember they got some, right? Let's go
right.
see if we can get a new start from them. Or,
And we
yeah,
have the world of the internet today. So if you can learn simple things, my neighbor has 150-year-old elderberry bushes that her grandmother brought to the property. And I'm like, I am building an elderberry orchard. So, and she shows up at my house one day with a coffee can filled with elderberry cuttings. And she goes, I don't know if it'll work, but let's try. And I'm like, I'm in, let's do it. So it's simple things like that that can really make things a lot better for a lot of people.
the things that I think is important to learn is not just how to store it, but sometimes people really don't know what to do if they have a can of green beans, a can of corn, and some rice. What can you do with that?
Hmm.
And it takes just practicing, trial and error and
Absolutely.
failing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm known for ugly chicken. I coined the phrase ugly chicken, and that's raw packed chicken because people said, I don't want to can it. It's ugly in the jar. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's supposed to taste good. And so here you go. And so we have, ugly chicken dinners and all the different things. And people will say, I've canned it, but I'm not sure what to do with it. And so it's like, okay, let's show you how to use it because you shouldn't be afraid of your food. The worst case scenario, you're not going to cook it again, but it's still food and it's still good.
My
Yes,
girls will call me from college and they're like, Mom, what do I do? How do I do this? And yet, for us, because we've done it so many times, we are this wealth of information for this next generation,
exactly.
even though they grew up in the same house, but recognizing that mom was doing more of the cooking than she should have been.
Right. And just because they were there doesn't mean necessarily they were paying attention all the time or my sisters and I grew up in the same house, and if you were to listen to our stories, you'd never know it. So it's just a matter of what's important at that time. But now that they're finding it important, they have a resource to go to, and that's good.
Okay, John, now your tips for us.
Well, I want to say that I've thoroughly enjoyed this discussion because this is so much what we teach and what we want to be teaching about how do we deal with difficult times, difficult financial times? How do we stretch our dollars? And I think this is all awesome. I think the one thing that I get excited about, and not as excited as Mama, but garden. Everybody should have a garden of some sort, and you've alluded to that a little bit. But everybody should be doing this. It's a life skill, and it's an important skill. It takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of learning, but very doable. Now, Mama promised that I would talk about beans because I love dry beans. I think
I
beans
knew
are an
it. I knew
excellent
it.
source of calcium, of protein, and they're inexpensive, and there's so many wonderful dishes that you can make. And I'll say that I already said this in one of our videos, but the doctor I like to listen to says beans, the magical fruit. The more you eat, the longer you live.
There
And
you
that's one
go.
of his big things is everybody should be eating more beans because they're so healthy, heart healthy. One of the other things I wanted to mention is us guys have got to step up. We participated in the Women Who Prep conference, and that was amazing. And it's very often the ladies in our lives that are leading that charge, that are looking out there and saying, okay, we've got to prepare for difficult things that may happen to us. And I feel like us men need to step up a little more and make sure that we are also part of that. in whatever ways we can, whether it's helping, in the garden. I'm just the muscles.
Oh,
And
what mighty fine muscles he is.
I like harvesting stuff, but I'm not the expert. But I can be, I want to be involved, and we need to be doing those, whatever it is, be a part of all of this and helping to drive this ship. And it is a team effort, and I'm fortunate to have Kylene, because we're not the same in everything, which is what you want. You want
Right.
us to be different and to have different skill sets and different abilities. That's what I think all families should kind of be working together, and realizing that not everybody is in a family situation, but you can have a community and do the same thing and build each other and help each other. Well, this has been awesome, Lisa. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise and your willingness to share, because that is what this is all about, is everybody sharing information. Take just a couple more minutes and tell us more about you and about how people can find you, and anything else that you want to say, wrapping this up.
You can find me at suttonsdays.com or on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram and I'm also on Facebook. And we do have a Facebook group that is absolutely phenomenal because I've been lately I've been labeled the no nonsense teacher because I don't put up with nonsense. So there is very strict rules in the group about safety. We need to be safe and that's important. But they're a great group of people that will help you and answer your questions, even if I can't get it to it right away. So, yes, absolutely. We need each other to be successful in this. And the more people that we reach, the better the world off will be altogether. So, thank you very much for having me. I have enjoyed this.
And now for the question of the day. What ideas can you share with us on building your pantry in challenging times when things financially are hard and prices are skyrocketing? Share with us. And thanks for being part of the solution.